Hi, welcome back to Awaken Ministry. This is Donna, and I'm going to give you your encouraging word today. And the story can be found in Judges 6 and 7. It's about Gideon and his valiant 300. We find in Judges that Gideon was so unsure that he was to lead the army to save Israel that he questioned his call. He asked for signs, which were fleeces, that it was truly supposed to be him. Once he was sure, he prepared for battle. And the rest of that story is going to be in Judges 7. I found it very interesting that God gave Gideon some challenges after Gideon challenged his calling. In verse 2, the Lord told him his army was too big. He had about 32,000 men, and God said, no, that's too many. Let's reduce it to 10,000. And then God shrank it again to 300 men. The Midianites were as numerous as locusts. So I can just imagine what Gideon thought about that. But even though he was first of all nervous at leading the charge with 20 or 22,000, 32,000 men, can you imagine how nervous he felt when it was only 300? So God knew his fear. And he told him in verse 10, but if you are afraid to go down, take Purah. And he said, go and listen to what the enemy is saying, and you will be strengthened. When they went down there to the enemy camp, they overheard a man telling them, the army, about a dream that he had. And in this dream, they were defeated. And it meant that God was going to deliver Midian into Gideon's hand, which terrified them. So Gideon, it strengthened him. He now fully understood that God had this all along. He stopped and worshiped God right then and there. And then he led his army to victory. When those 300 men blew their trumpets, God sent a sword out and the entire army fled. So my encouragement today is that God doesn't expect us to fight our battles in our own strength. He sent Gideon to spy at the enemy camp to find encouragement. God dealt with the doubts and fears of Gideon in his tender mercy. God used the situation to build the faith of Gideon, and it worked because Gideon stopped and worshiped God before the victory. It must have built his faith to know his enemies were afraid of him. When we're weak in faith, we often make our enemies stronger than they really are. Gideon became so encouraged by the dream that he actually divided his 300 men into 3 groups, following God's example. If God calls us to serve or fight for him, remember, he always has a plan. I hope this encouraged you today. Have a blessed week, and remember, Jesus is alive.